What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and yes, let's address the white elephant in the room. I'm coming to you from my bathroom right now. I've got family staying out in the living room, so giving them privacy, giving myself some privacy, just making these videos in the bathroom for now and probably the next couple days. It's Thanksgiving week. Enough of that. Let's get into it here. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We do have a little bit to talk about, and it is going to go over some of the stuff that we've been expecting for the past couple weeks since we've identified this kind of phase in the markets. So I think that it will be very telling of what's to come over the coming days. And I just, sit back, buckle up, hit that like button, and let's get started. So I do want to be on the BTC USD index, the all-time history index. I want to be on the daily, and then I'm going to go all the way back to 2012. Okay, all the way back to 2012. Because we've done this a couple times, what we're doing right now, right? We've done this 3 other times, and 2012 was the first time that we've done this. So 2012, November 28th, was the very first halving, right? And I have a point to this, right? Here was the halving, somewhere around here. This was our discernible high before the halving. So pre-halving high, we broke above it here. We got into our overbought zone on the daily, right? And we were in this overbought zone for 90 days, 99 days, 90 days, something like that. I measured it yesterday, and I've measured it before. That's how I know, right? We're not going to do it now just to conserve time. But what I do want to focus on is when we were overbought versus what happened when we broke out of the overbought zone. Okay, I think it's something to note. So the cycle was not over. It did continue to press onwards, right? We topped off at about 270, and then we continued to press on to 1200, right? 1300, something like that. But we did take a pause. We got out of the overbought zone here, and we did take a pause. We, from the top to the bottom, had a pullback, a very intense pullback. I don't expect this kind of pullback right now during this bull market, but nevertheless, something to address. 81% of a pullback, and it looks like that happened, from Tuesday, April 16th, and April 10th, so that happened over 6 days. 6 days, 81% drop. After you were in the overbought zone, and then you got out of the overbought zone. Again, being in the overbought zone after you broke out of your pre-halving high, right? Okay. Carrying that on to the next cycle, 2016, looking for similar results or something to compare it to at least, right? Here was your pre-halving high. Our halving this cycle was July 9th, 2016. So this is June 15th right here. This is a little bit before the halving, pre-halving high. We broke it over here, and we were overbought again on the daily. This time it was for 19 days. I'm not going to measure it. I've measured it before. On the 20th day, we broke out, right? So this was the shortest stint we had up until the current moment, right? Looking at this here, we did have a pullback as well from this high here to the low. We pulled back 35%. And that was the 12th of January. From the 12th, the 5th. So that was about 7 days. So the first one took 6 days. This one took 7 days. If I remember correctly, the first one took 6 days. And both of them had drops larger than 30%, we could say at least, right? Larger than 30%, 35% there. The first one was 84%. But getting out of the overbought zone resulted in a pretty serious drop back down to the 123 moving average here. I wonder, did we do that the first time too? Did we pull all the way back to the... Kind of. We got really close. And inevitably, we did go to it, but just something to look at. I don't know, something to consider. But all right, going forward here, the next halving that we had was May of 2020, May 11th, 2020. So that would have been here. Our pre-halving high this time was all the way back here. Okay, so whenever we broke out of that high, we had our overbought zone. We were overbought for I forget how long we were overbought, but it's irrelevant. I think it was like 30 days or 40 days. It was longer than 19, right? Longer than the stint that we've gone through already. So broke out of the overbought zone here, and we saw a pullback, a little bit more mild compared to the prior two. From a high here to a low, it took us only 2 days for this pullback, and it went down 16.8%, getting out of the overbought zone. So now, looking at the current area, the current area that we're in for Bitcoin right now. We had our halving in April. It was April 20th of this year, right? Right around here. Pre-halving high was right here. We just broke out of it, and we've been overbought now for 18 days, right? 18 days. We got overbought here, come on, that day there. We got out of it on this day. So on the 19th, we were out of it, which means we had 18 full days in it. 18 days in the overbought zone. That's the shortest stint we've ever seen a run going into the overbought zone after breaking out of the pre-halving high. Shortest stint we've ever seen. Definitely not what I was expecting. I thought that we would see something that would prolong and definitely push onwards past 100K. I really thought that's what was going to happen. I didn't think that we'd be on the lower end of this scale, but we are. And the reality of the matter is, with yesterday's close, we've gotten out of the overbought zone. So what does this mean? You know, it could mean that we have a rather large drop in comparison to anything we've seen this month, a rather large drop coming in over the next like couple days or so. From the top, it's been 1, 2, 3, and it's the 4th day now. We've seen these drops last anywhere from 2 days, 6 days, and 7 days. So already halfway through, at least from a time perspective, what this drop could bring. From a price perspective, only dropping 7%. That's nowhere near. That's not even half of the smallest drop that we've seen, of which was like 16%, right? 16% would take us all the way down to 80K. But we have seen larger drops, a 35% drop, which could take us all the way back down to 63K, and obviously an 80-something% drop. Another way to look at this is the drops have been getting smaller each cycle, right? We went from like an 80-something% drop to a 35% drop and down to a 16% drop. Maybe this drop will be even smaller than the prior cycle. So maybe we go down and find support down here, something like that. You know, that could happen. It's very possible. But there's also something else to take into consideration, which could make this kind of breakout of the overbought zone unique in a sense, right? In a sense that we really could see something that is as small as 7%, potentially even, you know, at the very most, something that's around 10%, right? Where that call for a move down that's rather small still is a valid call. And the one thing that kind of stands out that makes me think that that could still be true is that the daily RSI looks to be in a pretty parallel channel, right? From these lows here, connecting all these lows. I'm not drawing the straightest lines, right? But you can kind of see it. Let's draw it. Maybe if I do use straight lines, it'll be better. All right, something like this. You know, maybe Bitcoin could go a little bit lower and find support there, but just a little bit lower. That wouldn't call for too much lower prices. We're at 94K now. Maybe we drop down to that 90K, 89K area that we're looking for, a 10% drop overall. Something like that, get us a bounce off of this line and continue to move up. We do have, after all, it's kind of like a parallel channel from the top side and the bottom side. So it wouldn't be crazy where we are in the RSI now to go down a little bit more. But I think it would be kind of crazy to drop all the way back down to, you know, a 35% drop would take us below 65K. And I just don't see that happening. I don't see us going back down below our pre-halving highs anytime soon. I don't think in anyone's wettest dreams will that happen, personally. I think there's too many people that want to buy Bitcoin. So it is a little bit odd what we're doing right now. It's a little bit early to be getting out of this overbought zone, and historically speaking, every time that we've done this, we literally have faced a pretty serious or semi-serious correction, to say the least. 16% drop at a minimum, right? That's the smallest one we've seen so far. A 16% drop would take us down to about 83K. And I don't know if I believe that that's going to happen personally. That to me, that just doesn't sound right. But that is what we have in front of us. That is what I wanted to bring to the table, what I wanted to address with you guys. And even though that's what the charts have done before, I don't necessarily believe that that's what they're telling us is going to happen now, right? I think we're in a very bullish phase here. I really do. This move down did not merit a lot of volume, right? Volume is decreasing as we're in this like upward sloping kind of consolidation phase here. I would expect that we are coming to the end of this like slow movement upwards, and we're about to see that next leg up that will send us through 100K. But don't be surprised. I might have done this 2 times in a row now, guys, where last month I was calling for Bitcoin to break out to new all-time highs by the end of the month, which would have been by the end of October, by Halloween. And instead we broke out to new all-time highs on the 5th of November. In the beginning of this month, I was calling for us to break above 100K by the end of the month. Maybe we get a repeat of that, and instead it'll be sometime early December that we could break above 100K. I don't believe this correction is going to last long. I don't believe it's going to be a long phase correction. but I do believe, and I am starting to accept the idea that perhaps now that we've gotten out of this overbought zone and things, seem to be chilling for a second, we don't have to continue with this hastened pace that we normally see, breaking out of our pre-halving highs going into this phase of the bull cycle, right? That's what's given me so much confidence and drive to say that we are moving up immediately. We're moving up now. Any drawbacks are going to be insignificant. We're moving up now. That all can still be true, but now that we're out of the overbought zone, we really could be in a phase where we move up a little bit slower, and then again, moving up slower is fine, but instead of being at prices at like 110K to 120K by the end of this month, like I had been predicting, perhaps we're at 100K to 110K sometime early in December. Stuff to think about, stuff to consider. I don't think we're going to see a massive correction from here, but every time we have broken out of the overbought zone in this kind of move, breaking out of our pre-halving high, it has led to bigger drops than we've seen so far. So be prepared for that. Don't be scared about that, right? That could mean, and we could see the overall markets kind of correct with that. I know a lot of people are calling for, and I probably should have included this earlier in the video, but a lot of people have been calling, and I think prematurely calling, for the Bitcoin dominance to have topped off. If Bitcoin sells off, if it sells off really hard, and we see that correction that we've seen historically in this kind of time frame, and then the rest of the market sells off, we'll probably see this dominance grow, because Bitcoin will sell off, but the rest of the market will sell off harder. Therefore, the dominance in Bitcoin would grow relative to the rest of the market. So I don't know if we've seen altcoin season begin just yet. I'm one of the few people, it seems, on YouTube that's skeptical to say that. It definitely is looking promising. It's looking nice. This is more serious of a move than we had on this one. And it's more of a serious move down than we've seen in a long time, but I wouldn't say we've broken out of this upside structure just yet, right? We've seen serious down moves before, and it still got gobbled back up. It just took time. So I am under the impression, one way or another, that the dominance still could be growing up to that 64.5% area. We're at 58.58% now. I don't know if it's alt season yet. I feel like it would be early if it were to be alt season, but it could be. I definitely am accepting of the idea. It just depends on what happens. If Bitcoin can hold the line here and then the rest of the market gets to move up, great. If Bitcoin sells off a lot from here and then the rest of the market goes down with it, it'll probably make the dominance go up. If Bitcoin barely goes down and altcoins barely go down or even go up as a result of that, then okay, maybe I'm wrong and it is alt season. But time will tell, and I'm assuming it'll be no time at all. Just a little bit of time here. But I do like this daily RSI. I really do like the structure of it. It gives me confidence that if we were to go down lower, and I think we will, just a little bit, we wouldn't go too much lower. Again, advocating for that 89, like high 89 area, 90K area, something like that. Maybe even 91K, around there, but not too much lower to go is kind of the main perspective I'm offering. So anyways, with that, I leave you. The 1 hour time frame looks like it wants to go lower. It definitely looks like it wants to go lower. The 4 hour as well looks like it wants to go lower. And yep. That's all I got. Yeah. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.